Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We are back again this Friday with you all. I'm Colonel Gadyok, with me is Colonel Shokan and Colonel Chahil. To meet you, to take your questions, and also discuss some issues which are of mutual interest. Right? So today we'll start with a recent event in West Asia, where we had this huge triggered blast in the communication systems used by the Hezbollah. Initially, they were the pagers, and then there were the walkie-talkies, which was used by them. First, let's see why they chosen this, and the timing of this, and what are the repercussions of this event in the landscape of warfare today. Why have they targeted the pagers and the walkie-talkies? It's because the conventional communication systems which are being used by them, they were monitored, they were easy to monitor, to get information by the Israel. The intelligence was strong enough, and therefore after the terrorist activity last October, by choice they decided to switch off those sets and use these for communication within, right? And
these pagers,
pagers. No, Hezbollah has been it's a Shia militant organization backed by Iran. They got huge resources. They decide, and therefore killing of the leaders in the recent couple of weeks and months. So they have been preparing for a war with Israel, and the Israel has preempted by breaking their communication network by first attacking the pagers and then the walkie-talkies which are being used. So as a result, their ability to communicate with each other, coordinate, and launch kind of counters against Israel has so much diminished.
It's also more importantly, it has kind of created a fear psychosis amongst the Hezbollah. I mean, it is they would be scared to use a pager or a mobile because it may just explode. So like the technology, I believe, which they used, I mean, they haven't owned up to it, although
it is evident.
Yeah, but it looks like it's evident. What now? Each of these electronic devices is like an improvised explosive device by itself. Each one is like an ID by itself. Because what is an ID? It basically requires two components. One is a detonator, something which is going to explode the explosive, and second is the trigger mechanism. So the battery by itself, when it gets heated up, it is like a detonator, it is going to explode. And the trigger mechanism is something which is which has been inserted, and it is very amazing that many of these devices are made in Taiwan, and they are not even made in the West.
For the first time in the history of warfare, the complete supply chain has been compromised.
So it is whichever place that it was inserted,
manufactured, stored, distributed. So somewhere along the line, they have inflated that, and therefore the first time is a new dimension in warfare where the complete supply chain has been compromised. Right? So and it's got repercussions in the future. We'll be talking of disruptive warfare, and a new dimension of disruptive warfare emerged through this.
These pages have been ordered in February 24. So this Shinbi,
how far behind they would have planned?
Mossad and Shinbi, they both did this kind of planning. They did it very much pre-planning, and it was supposed to be ordered from a company called Apollo Gold, which was in Taiwan. But now Taiwanese company has given a statement that they have given a pre-order to a Hungarian company. They had manufactured it, and nobody knows who owns that Hungarian company.
Just imagine.
So there could be
everything which is
Mossad
manufactured by a
infiltrated
company,
there.
they have sub suppliers, they have small companies, startups who make these things and provide. They assemble and sell. So the question right now in the reliability, because everything is electronic today, fine. The so-called IoT, Internet of Things, where whatever you use at home can get compromised. See, at home, anywhere, fine, can get exploited through the help of AI and these devices.
In fact, today, even the mobile is like a device which is always listening.
Always.
All this at home when we have Alexa, etc. They say that it is listening at all times. I mean, if it is switched on, whatever, if you are talking about your account number and all, it is all getting.
If you remember the Israeli Pegasus, that software which India had made a hue and cry, even Rahul Gandhi and other leaders said that it has been used again, monitoring their conversation. All is Israeli made. In fact, Israeli government has given a sanction to
monitor.
Yes, so they have been experts in this. In 1988 also, I was reading, they had done similar kind of an operation to kill one of the Hezbollah leader only.
Okay. They monitored him.
No, they blasted their mobile.
Okay. Yeah.
So now there was some discussion going on. I was going to just ponder over it. Now with this new kind of thing happening in the whole scenario around, now many airlines have started thinking, should we allow mobiles
absolutely, it is a threat,
and computers, I mean, laptops within the plane or not?
Also, see, recently you must have heard of reports of certain airlines.
It's a threat.
Where see, they have used electronic devices to change the time. उसका जो time sequence को change कर दिया. It becomes 0. So as a result, the GPS becomes ineffective. The navigation becomes ineffective.
Oh my God.
And the aircraft doesn't know what to do. They get really blinded. This has happened in the recent past with a few airlines which have reported. So the dimensions of use of AI, use of communication systems, the command and control systems, the finances which are being managed, all that is a great risk.
In fact, the conventional wars are going to be now no longer it will be like this, outdated actually. I mean, in today's time, you have drones which will go for top attacks. I mean, the whole cavalry is kind of jeopardized. I mean, the weakest part of the tank is the top part of the.
What you saw in Azerbaijan, what you saw in
Azerbaijan war.
Russian tanks in the initial.
And it costs nothing.
They cost nothing.
A drone costs nothing actually.
Today the doctrine is small is big.
Perhaps it's time to go back to the cave age.
Absolutely right. In fact, Azerbaijan, Armenia warfare, in one night they destroyed almost 120 tanks in the deserts only using drones. So the whole dimension of warfare has changed because nobody is going to do conventional warfare nor going to store this conventional hardware anymore.
Absolutely.
So we're also getting some friends joining in, Suraj Pamta joining in. So we'd also like to take on your questions about the SSB as we go along. And today we start with showing you a picture. When all those are watching, we'll show you a picture for some time, or you can take.
Or we can keep the picture in front, and we can still keep talking to.
So you can look at the picture, frame a story, then we can discuss the story as such. What would perhaps come to your mind, how to make a better story, all that can be discussed as we go along. So we can show a picture. Can I have a look at it also before we show it? Okay,
So we are displaying it.
Can you all see this?
I hope you can see this picture.
Should I put it ahead a little?
I would like you all to frame a kind of a story on this.
I think it can be seen now.
Could be for the PPTT, could be for TAT. This essentially is a transparency, so generally would have been used for easier to use for a PPTT. So let's take it as
a point. Keep it a little ahead.
Let's structure a story. I think a little base, thoda sa.
I think it can be seen now.
Okay. The bottom got to be a little bit more clear.
No, so it has to be closer to us so that the bottom is clear. Just leave it.
Bottom is
the further away it is.
So that you can see the field
then and you can possibly see lower part.
Absolutely. Perhaps now. So
that's better now.
Use it as a stimulus for a story. We just so we thought we'd generate some ideas and discussion with you. Rishabh has joined. I have been there. Nice to see you. Good, Rishabh. Now we're doing an exercise. You seen this picture? Frame a kind of story in your mind, and we can discuss it after a few minutes. So we keep discussing also what we're talking right now about what is Hezbollah and what is Hamas. What's the difference between them? We talked of what has happened recently. Of course, there's a lot more which can happen in warfare. So, a lot of people are not too clear about that. Who go into SSB? They have no. They are terrorist organization. What is Hamas? See, Hamas is a Palestinian organization. Earlier part of the ex-PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. They had a political wing. They had a militant wing, and they were one as such. But as time came on, we had peace talks. There was a understanding of a two-nation theory in Camp David Accords, etc., where PLO, the political wing, decided to agree to that, and that also meant agreeing to accepting Israel as a state. In that, the Hamas, which is the militant organization wing, never accepted the idea of a statehood to Palestine, to Israel. Right? Yeah. And therefore they remain very
refused
and
statehood.
They chose to move into the control area Gaza, where politically they control and run this country or whatever.
And they won the elections.
Yeah. In that area. So therefore, the basic principally they are against the state of Israel. They don't want to accept. The PLO principally is accepted. So there was a little bit of a difference in the opinions in the two. And they have been always targeting Israel, rocket shells, and bombing is going on. And of course, what happened last year in October is a history which everybody knows.
And another distinction we probably would like to add on is Hamas is a Sunni terrorist organization, whereas Hezbollah is a Shia terrorist organization.
And both are supported by Iran.
Though Iran is a Shia country.
Principal opponent is Israel. So Iran is supporting them.
In fact, Hezbollah is more like a proxy of the Iran. They have kind of made this lot. They're like, the Taliban's were prepared here.
Even Houthis,
something very similar.
Houthis also is being,
they also Shias actually.
Propped up by Shias.
They also Shias,
And interestingly, see, the Hezbollah are located in south of Lebanon, and it's a very interesting country, Lebanon, which has got a constitution. They've got Christians, they've got Muslims who are Sunnis, and they're Shias.
It's actually called the Paris of Middle East.
Middle East.
It was
supposed to be. And their constitution mandates, see, they've got seats in the parliament, they've got seats for the Christians, they've got seats for the Sunnis, the Shias for the... all that is happening. Right? They are allowing the Hezbollah to exist in the southern Lebanon, fight a war, but Lebanon is not at war with, incidentally. That is the issue right now.
Hezbollah is like it is more than an army. They got Air Force with them. They got tank force with them.
In fact, yesterday's air attack by the Israel was targeting about 100 gun positions, rocket positions.
Yes. They said they will retaliate. They will retaliate.
And now they've passed today orders to the Israeli population to remain indoors and be cautious because they're expecting a retaliation after yesterday's airstrikes.
And they had a ballistic missile fired towards Israel. It covered 2,040 kilometers, which is unheard of in a terrorist organization firing such a long-range missile, which fell exactly inside, Tel Aviv. So this is a
terrorist organization. Their role is such, but it's a kind of an army, an extension of.
And it's a hypersonic missile, sir. So that it could not be stopped by Iron Dome. Iron Dome could not stop it.
Funded and equipped by Iran, so they have everything. Though principally they're Shias and Sunnis, but that is the.
I am sure these kind of long-range missiles Iran would have been providing. No other country probably. Iran has got the capability of making such kind of missiles as well as very sophisticated drones, which they are even supplying to Russia. So why we have to discuss this? Because as defense aspirants, you have to be very, very clear about the changing geopolitical situation in the world today, because this could be a major question answer session probably in the SSB also.
It could. See, the discussions, DDs or the lectures could be there, the
Even
interviews.
interviewing officer could
Everywhere these
check
things
out.
can come up for discussion and questions. So one has to be updated and appraised.
Actually, the support to Ukraine by the West has basically created these two, mega power centers.
Yeah,
I mean, one
yeah.
power center would be
Absolutely.
Russia, China,
So
Iran,
this axis,
North
the new
Korea.
axis,
So new axis
is emerging.
An
which
axis
is,
of evil.
what was it?
They call it evil. I mean,
China,
They call it, but the
Russia,
other side calls it different.
they call them
North
evil.
Korea and Iran, and they are formidable in themselves. There are a lot of sanctions against them, but sanctions
But
have
the
never
polarization is happening.
proved. Yeah,
Polarization is happening.
yeah. The sanctions have never proved successful against Russia. Despite the sanctions, the economy is growing. The per capita income is also good. Fine. So North Korea, despite sanctions, of course, their economy is totally military. The people are very poor, but they are surviving, and so is Iran. Iran has got huge amount of gas, but they've been sanctioned badly, and they are supporting each other. Fine, so whether this drones or missiles or technology. Fine, so it's a convenience which has got them together, and perhaps the West has to think of it.
But if you look at it, the fulcrum of this war machine is slowly moved from this Hamas now to Hezbollah. As well
Hamas
as
has
Iran.
been almost kind of decimated. So
Yeah.
there's hardly anything
Yeah.
left of them.
Listen, they are spread over.
The Gaza is devastated. The people
Yeah.
are thousands of people.
That
are
is why
out.
this
Absolutely.
They're
shifting
dying.
has happened.
Whatever little
And,
remnants
yeah,
are left
yeah,
there in the
yeah,
south of
yeah,
Gaza,
yeah.
and probably many of them would have shifted to
Yeah.
maybe into Lebanon. You
Many
never know.
places.
They are part of Hezbollah now.
Many are
perhaps.
sitting in Jordan, many are sitting in even Qatar. Maybe their leaders are sitting.
The point,
Everywhere
those
it
are the
is.
leaders, but I'm saying the foot soldiers
The foot
would have
soldiers.
probably
So-
moved on to Lebanon. You never know, and
Yes,
fighting
yes,
alongside
yes.
Hezbollah.
Destruction
Yes,
of
yes.
Hamas as a maybe force, but as an idea, it cannot be destroyed. So therefore, if it is down now, it may rise up again after some time. So that is the criticism of Israel. They have to realize that they cannot totally destroy an idea. They can destroy some thing on ground, but as an idea, Hamas cannot be destroyed.
So,
That
what
is
do you
the-
think, sir, the role of India in this whole gambit?
India is also being seen favorably by both parties and an enabler of peace, but right now Israel apparently is not in a mood of. Yes, we talk peace, but Israel is not in a mood of tear down. Though America is pressing for that, we happen to be having fairly good relations with both, but more biased towards Israel. If you see the
Because we have connection
Yeah.
with Iran also.
Yeah.
We have got some port
we have
construction
not
in it together.
voted in the Security Council, all those things. So we are a little biased towards Israel, but all the same we are open to both.
Actually, all this effort of making that port and the north-south corridor, I
Yeah.
think that is also.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it has been subverted. Like right now, we can't really use it because
Absolutely.
the sanctions on Iran.
Sanctions are-
and we are kind of Russian oil is cheaper to us.
I2U2
yeah.
is suffered now. I2U2 effort has
Yeah.
suffered because that corridor will not going to come up now.
That's what.
It will be delayed.
Because
Yeah,
Middle
it's
East is now
In
got
any
disturbed
case, it's a
Israel
long
in
time. It is a
absolute
long time
relations.
thing, but with the disturbed situation, such things cannot move.
Cannot move, yes.
So we hope you have seen this picture. Any responses, or let's start discussing this picture. What is so when you see a picture like this, how do you go about writing the story? We just discussed a little bit of a mechanics, and then we can look at some ideas of what possibly is happening, and how to structure the story. Fine.
Firstly, sir, let us discuss when we see a picture, a candidate is shown a picture which is a little abstract picture, mostly in black and white, and not very, it's not very clear, it's a little opaque. So if that kind of picture is shown, what would be the first way the picture should be looked at by the candidate? So that is one thing which probably they
How
would
to
like to
observe
know,
the picture.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So
So to observe the picture, I will keep coming back to this picture as we go along. Now to observe the picture, step one should be establishing the setting of your story. कि भाई ये कहाँ की setting है? Is it a public park? Is it a office space?
Which means the background should be seen.
Yeah, so the setting will be dictated by 2-3 things, so I'll come to that. So the first step would be to establish कि भाई ये कहाँ की setting है. Now to establish the setting, the sequence should be that first step should be that you look at the far background and see what do you say in the background. See in the background. Like in this case, if you look at the far background, you'll see open area. It is an open space. It is looking like a slope of a hill.
Yeah,
something like that.
It's not a very kind of park or something. It's an open space, perhaps a hilly area.
Rugged terrain.
Yeah.
So that is the first step. Then you move one step closer. So you start looking at every object in the foreground. So in the objects in the foreground, you should be looking at what is it that is lying on the ground. Some particular equipment is lying, or some particular item is lying on the ground, or wherever in the foreground. Whatever little objects that you see, you must very, very closely observe them. So in this particular case, perhaps there are no such objects per se, but then there are boulders and there are stones on the slope, so which is suggesting it is kind of an unused area. It is a barren piece of land or an area which is not cultivated. It is a slope of a hill feature perhaps, right? The third step would be, the first step is the far background. The next step would be looking at every object in the foreground.
But let me say candidate जो पीछे बैठा हुआ है, जो बंदे थोड़ा सा साइड पे है, he may see something different also.
That's all right.
He may see a foliage also.
Yeah, I'm just saying
that also point should be taken to consideration.
So it is not a test of an eyesight.
Yeah.
Your eyesight.
So
it is basically
logic,
how you perceive it.
So perceive it, logic of presenting it.
Logic of presenting it.
Yeah.
So the third step would now be, when you establish the setting of a place, is now look at the attributes of the characters. What are they wearing? What are they looking like? What are they carrying with them? So in this particular case, what you see there is young people. They are maybe school going boys and girls perhaps. So they are youngsters who are on that slope and who are generally walking around, looking down. Maybe they are trying to see something there. So what you see in the attributes of the characters are people or youngsters moving on that slope, perhaps discovering something or trying to see something on that slope. So now the setting of the story, once again I repeat, is dictated by these three things. Firstly, the background, the far background. Secondly, the objects in the foreground. And the third would be the attributes of the characters that you see in the picture, right? So once we have established this will tell you ye kahan ki setting hai. So in this particular case, the setting is of a open area of a mountain slope where some youngsters are walking around. So now we've established what the setting is, right? So now the next step logically should be, after you've established the setting, you must always put yourself into the frame. Never say कि इसके ऊपर मेरे को एक story लिखनी है. हमेशा अपने आप को उस frame के अंदर देखो and pick up one of the characters with whom you can very closely relate, and pick up that person as you. And put yourself into the shoes of that person and ask yourself, if I was this person in a setting like this, who all could I be? So look at more than one options, right? So in this particular case, since there are youngsters, maybe they are school or college going students. So that is how you will identify, okay, they are students. Next question would be, once you answered as to who you could be, the next question is, ask yourself, if I was a student in a setting like this, what all could I be doing? So next question that you should ask yourself is, what all could I be doing? So look at more than one options. If you invariably kya hota hai, the first thought that comes to your mind, you start writing that story, and when you do that, you will naturally while writing realize कि भाई इससे अच्छा तो I could think of so and so theme. So now it is too late. You already the boat has sailed. So now you cannot cut it, and so it is good to invest those 30 seconds in toying with more than one ideas.
So this is a major mistake with people make, especially TAT. You see a picture, you get a first thought and you start writing.
Immediately start writing.
Okay, race lagi hui hai, and then as you start writing, you get a better idea in between. Fine.
Yeah.
So it's always good to spend 20-30 seconds to ask yourself what possibly else can be happening. No?
Yeah.
एक idea लगता है कि yes, boulder hai, could be trekking, could be landslide. No? So you get 2-3 ideas, which is a better one, how you will construct it. No? थोड़ा if you're a little careful in thinking, you could get a better idea, and you'll also create a story with better value systems. Fine. it's not out of fear, not of So very first reaction generally comes out of fear.
Many times when we start thinking, if I am that person who is there, so who am I? That's the first question as we discuss now. Second question is, what am I doing? What is my activity there? Third question is, why I am doing
That's
this
very,
action?
very important actually.
Why I am doing? That is a stressful.
Purpose kya hai?
That is a purpose. So when I ask this question, if I am there in that picture,
why would I do
why
what
I
I'm
should
doing?
do this kind of thing, along with the others whosoever is there, related with them.
Absolutely.
So normally आज के ज़माने में इतनी न्यूज़ में नेगेटिविटी आता है, so many crimes are happening around, violences are happening around. Newspaper उठाएगा तो you will find half the page is all violence only. So mostly these days youngsters, the first thought is of some violence,
some negative thing happening.
Something negative.
Because अभी monsoons में there have been landslides, there have been so and so. So the moment you see that hill slope, ये तो landslide
हो गया, या flood हो गया.
NDRF को landslide होगी तो NDRF को बुलाएंगे. So therefore a better idea, let's say between the two would be yes, going for a trek, going through the rocky area, seeing the nature, seeing the animal flora fauna. That could be a more pleasant idea than dealing with a landslide and ABC.
So like sir has said, you must toy with 3-4 ideas. Generally you will find the first idea is little negative only. So you must now toy with certain positive ideas. What else could have been happening? And say you have 3 ideas to toy with now. Now's the time, as we have been discussing, you must look for a familiar situation,
very important,
and positive also.
Absolutely.
Which
Something
can
that
happen
you are familiar with
in life.
Yeah. Because unless you are familiar with the theme that you've chosen, naturally your story is going to be weak. You won't be able to justify why you're doing it or how you're going to do it. So it's very, very important to be very clear and have immense information about whatever that you want your main character to do. So you should remember that the heart of your story is how did he do what he did. So unless you're able to write some meaningful points in that, only then your story is going to be considered good. Because
so let's say in this picture only, what could be a negative thought, what could be positive thoughts? 3-4 let us
so let's say
consider it.
Somebody will say it is a landslide, right? I mean, though there's nothing wrong,
it happens.
But then it can occur to somebody's mind, a landslide. So one could be that option.
Yes.
Second could be people who are kind of coached and who are carrying preconceived ideas with them. जो Facebook से, social media से, who have picked up ideas, they will invariably say ये tree plantation हो रहा है because
सफाई हो रहा है,
वन महोत्सव हो रहा है, या
स्वच्छ भारत अभियान
हो रहा है. उधर कोई there is no garbage there, but they'll talk about some cleanliness drive even when there is no garbage seen in the picture, right? So these are certain thoughts that will come to people who are carrying preconceived ideas or who already their mind has got corrupted by reading so many stories on the social media.
Plant a story on whatever stimulus is given.
So then what else we could look at? I mean, let's say like Colonel Shokan was just telling you that you pick up a theme about which you have fair amount of knowledge. Let's say if you were a geography student, you could think of a teacher taking a class out for teaching them about rock formation, perhaps, right? So you're very familiar about rocks, so igneous rocks कौन सा है, metamorphosis कैसे होता है, it's a study tour, and how rock formation takes place. Perhaps somebody could talk about that. Somebody could talk about the ill effects of erosion, or how
because
the mountain is barren.
He is a student of geography.
Yeah. So that person would know कि भाई erosion क्यों होता है, किस तरह की erosion leads to what. So that could be written by somebody who is familiar with that. Somebody, let's say, is a botany student and he is aware of the different types of herbs, plants, plantation, and that person is himself fond of gardening. उसको घर में पता है कौन सा plant कब लगता है, and he has knowledge about plantation. So now you could be a person who could even talk about that. So there is nothing hard and fast that this is a preconceived idea or something. But if you are familiar with gardening and you are familiar with the fauna and flora of, let's say, the hills, you could always write some good story on that based on your own knowledge.
Even a sports person in a village area, he can even think about how he made a rugged place, playable for at least a badminton court or a tennis court. Something like that also he can think of.
Yeah, it could be, let's say, even if you're talking about a cleanliness drive, for example, it could well be if you've studied in a hill school, वहाँ पे क्या होता है, every playground के पीछे there is a hill feature invariably.
Yes.
So it could be a drive by these students to clean up the rear side of their school, the hill slope, to improve it, made it beautiful.
Landscaping किया,
landscaping करा उसका, arboriculture improve करा. So it could, nothing wrong with these stories, but it is only if you are familiar with it.
And logically built up.
And you logically building it up.
Because the action what you have to go into write should be quite familiar to you.
It could even be a summer camp where these youngsters have gone out, and perhaps in a very meaningful way the teacher is trying to explain to them about important things, like for example there could be cues, and it could be like a treasure hunt where they're moving from point A to point B to educate themselves by, if they are only familiar with certain things, only then they'll be able to read and interpret and find the next place or next hidden treasure. So it could be perhaps a something for their learning as well in a summer camp. So it could be any of these thoughts, but what is most important is that you have to be very familiar with the thought that you've generated. Very important.
Yeah. So as we're sitting and discussing various ideas, we'd also like to have your questions, thoughts, what comes to your mind as we're going along, so that we have a little bit more participation. That is the aim.
But remember, there are only 4 minutes time for you to write the write this story.
Yeah.
So it has to be framed well. That's very important. Whatever is your theme in your mind, you should frame it well. So how do you frame it well? Because in 4 minutes, how many sentences you can write? You can write maximum 10 to 12 sentences. More than that you cannot write. If you start writing very fast, more than that, your handwriting is not going to be legible. So how do you go about doing it? Would be first 2 to 3 sentences you can talk about the background, how the main character has been there in that particular background, put him there in the picture. Then you can bring the theme as well as the need for the main character to do something in that particular setting. That should come immediately, maybe in first 4-5 sentences. What happens with most of the candidates, they keep describing the initial introduction too long. Then by the time you come to the action part of it, the activity part of it, your time is out. So you find the story incomplete. That should not happen with you. So 4 to 5 sentences mein you have to start writing down what is the activity you have meant for the main character to do, what has he done along with others for satisfying the need you have created in this picture, or what have you done about the theme which you have generated there. So it could go another 4-5 sentences. So by the time 4 minutes are generally over, you have almost finished the story, and with the final outcome, another 1 or 2 sentences. What is the outcome? It has to be a positive outcome. This should be the general way of putting across your story.
And in fact, it's very important that when you're writing those points which are saying that how this meaningful purpose that you created was accomplished, it is very essential to write that in a sequential manner.
Correct.
Write it in an order in which kind of one sentence is flowing into the next one. Pehla step ye hona chahiye, fir ye hona chahiye, fir ye hona. So it should be written in such a sequential manner that it shows great clarity of thought process. That's because after all, this is not really a story writing test. Otherwise they would have called it story writing test. They're calling it thematic apperception test. So it is basically that they're trying to see through this story. All the characters, all the people that you've created, and the level of idea that you've created is basically highlighting the kind of person and the way your mind works.
Your knowledge, your value systems, your creativity, your imagination, all that is coming out the 10 to 12 lines of this.
Your maturity of mind also will be seen the kind of themes you have selected. Suppose you have taken a theme which is very childish kind of theme, you are revealing your mental age by writing a very childish kind of theme.
And very often can you pick up a theme which is like there's a landslide, so there's an issue. What do you do? See, they can do nothing about that. So they say they called up the NDRF team, and then they, with the help of the, so therefore that becomes a very don't choose a theme where you are not participating effectively, where you have to call help. See, I'm not saying NDRF doesn't do, they do a good job, so leave it to them. don't get involved with things which others have to do.
Probably you can reduce
Yeah,
the scale.
yeah, scale.
It could be these youngsters
Yeah.
only created a pathway
So that
where there was a landslide, so that they were able to at least move
access.
people.
Access
Or
is
they
there.
could say the village path has been
Cleared, so
cleared
that
or whatever.
after,
At their level, what they could do.
two-wheelers or small vehicles could go, so that your accessibility is
Slight
maintained.
landslide
But
and then
handling
it-
landslide is a
yes.
difficult thing. So therefore, because of access, the rains, a lot of landslides or snow rocks have blocked the way from the village. Therefore, with the help of other villagers, they cleared up the path so that the accessibility to the main road was there or something like that. So that is doable at your level. Don't talk of where you to help from the Red Cross, help from the NDRF. That would not be a great idea.
Most of the time, candidates are doing this mistake of borrowing ideas from YouTube channels, borrowing ideas from some internet websites, some tutoring happened through online. So what happens is you are losing your genuinity, you are losing your originality, and you become a coached candidate module. Please don't do that. You have to generate your own themes which is connected with your life, which is connected with your environment, and which is connected probably with your age group.
In fact,
That's
that is
very
why we
important.
always keep saying, we always suggest to you all that you got to be very observant of your ambient environment. You got to
Absolutely
be
right.
very interactive with your ambient
Unfortunately,
environment.
this is not happening.
Whenever that you step, in fact, firstly, people don't step out also. They are mostly, even when they step out, if they are traveling,
They're cut off.
they would be
Yeah,
looking at
if
their
there's a bus,
social
they're looking
media.
at the phone. In
Yeah.
a car, they're looking at the phone.
Yeah.
So if you're driving, that you're driving. So they're observing the environment.
Well, the inquisitive level
levels
has to be a
are-
little higher,
yeah.
so that, for example, if at the railway crossing, if the vehicle is parked, somebody, if he stops and gets off and he has a look inside, कि भाई वो जो railway वाला बंदा बैठा हुआ है,
what does he do?
all, how does he operate, what does
Yeah,
he do?
to put
Nobody's
this-
bothered.
So that kind of an input will help you in some group planning exercise somewhere.
You see, those are simple mechanical
they don't know
tools.
it.
Yeah, so it's very, very important to understand that the routine interactions with your environment is going to be of immense help to you by being a person who's better informed in these aspects.
Want to talk about environment in your home only, you will find generally now it's a scene that everybody is sitting in a dining table, everybody is with their mobile, they're not even talking to each other.
I know, a lot of people don't come to the dining table also.
So this is how it happened, we have got restrained with our own virtual world and the virtual friends. So you don't connect. So this has happened, this is a very big problem we are facing at the SSB level.
In fact, right now, see, Australia, they have started bringing some laws where children are not allowed
Okay.
access to social
They have laid an
media.
age limit. Yeah.
Age limit, which is
For adult sites
contested
and
and debated.
No.
Not
They will
access
not,
mobile, yes.
no access to social media for children below 18.
It is hampering their natural growth. It is hampering the natural
Even
growth.
China also they are planning.
China to have their own plans. You can't compete with it.
They were also discussing this. How they will, block certain sites for the children.
They keep doing all that.
Yes.
They only are selective in what they want to want
They
their
do what they
audiences
want
to
to
see.
do.
Yeah, not even
So
against.
now we're slowly
state.
coming, closing to the
So
end of the
I
session.
think I have a
Yeah.
suggestion
Yeah.
that since this picture has been seen by everyone
Yeah,
and it will
next
stay
week-
for 1 week,
Yeah.
Yes.
so possibly they
Same
can
picture,
week-
same
next
picture.
week
we will discuss these
But
stories
since
that
we already discussed most of the things, let us put
Well,
another
in the
let's-
sense
let's have
they
their
haven't
story.
written any stories, na?
No, I
So
would
let
like
them
you
write
to
stories,
stories and
and
we
a
can
lot of
discuss it.
ideas now.
Yeah.
Let them put another one
Yeah.
and say.
Yeah.
Okay, we can put one more.
Because we given them a lot of ideas. वही आएगा.
All right.
This is one.
So this is another one. If you would like to, then we can discuss both these.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is
इधर
the.
ऐसे है क्या? अच्छा,
Huh?
ठीक है.
Yeah, I
Like
was
this.
just for the sake of.
Because they can
showing it.
again see it, na?
Yeah.
You can put it on top only because they have already seen
Can
it
I?
enough now.
Yeah, I can hold it from.
Well, it's slightly clear.
All
इसके
right.
ऊपर ही रखो. They have already seen
I
it.
think it's all right, sir. Now they can see both. So
But
this will remain, है ना?
But this is already recorded, no? It will remain in.
That's what I'm saying. It'll
So
remain.
no.
So
Next week we can discuss this.
we can discuss this.
And let's have some
Put it on
ideas.
top only like this. इसके ऊपर रखो.
All right.
Let's keep it like this also, so that they know.
I'll put
They
this
know it
clip
now.
here then.
उल्टा डालना पड़ेगा ना.
ठीक है
ऐसे
सर. नहीं वो ऐसे ही है.
तो इसने नीचे.
It is vertical, sir. That picture is vertical.
This one I put it vertical like this, no?
You want to put it the other way around? Okay, wait, just hold.
So we will, ladies and gentlemen, what we will do, we are putting this picture for you. So next week when we all come here, we will discuss this picture. You can discuss the stories what you have in mind, and we will correct you. So that it would be
just leave it. All of you leave it.
So that if this becomes the right kind of guidance for you to write PPTT also as well as TAT also, because PPTT and TAT may the thought process is same. Okay, only difference is this will be slightly a hazy picture. However, the TAT picture will be more clearer. Their body language will be better clear. Their gesture will be even more clear to you. But in PPTT it will be slightly hazy like this. So let's discuss next week.
So we close it with that. We see you again next week.
So there are two pictures that you can write on, and you should mention which picture that you're writing the story on. So mention whether it is the first picture or the second picture.
And give it a heading and then
give it a heading.
Please tell your friends also who should come and ask us questions. Whoever has got any doubts about SSB, because most of the myths which are around SSB and the procedure of selection may be wrong as we discuss and you find out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.